Great to be here again this beautiful Thursday morning, and of course we're standing by with the brief. It's a rainy Thursday morning here in the FCT, but we still have updates for you from the city's capital. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nigerians. And today we'll be talking about the passage of the state police by the bill by the Senate. Today, our focus is on a major legislative development at the National Assembly, as the Senate passes a constitution amendment bill seeking the creation of state police, a proposal that has generated widespread interest across the country. For years, Nigerians have debated the need for a more decentralized policing structure to strengthen internal security, improve response to local threats, and enhance community-based law enforcement. With the Senate's latest action, the conversation has entered a new phase, raising important questions about implementation, oversight, funding, and what this could mean for the country's security architecture.
With the Senate's latest action, the conversation has entered a new phase, raising important questions about implementation, oversight, funding, and what this could mean for the country's security architecture. To provide insight into the significance of this landmark development and the journey ahead, we're joined by Senator Onyekachi Nwebonyi, a distinguished federal lawmaker and a deputy whip in the Senate. He joins us to share perspectives on the amendment bill, the expectations surrounding state police, and its potential impact on governance and security across Nigeria. Senator Nwebonyi, it's good to have you in our studio this morning.
Thank you so very much, my sister and my brother, for this wonderful opportunity.
All right. Well, President Bola Tinubu forwarded an executive bill supporting the creation of state police. I'm aware that also the National Assembly had been treating that bill even before the arrival of this executive bill. Can you clearly explain to us the key provisions of President Tinubu's proposal? Were they retained or modified or dropped by the Senate? And particularly regarding the federal oversight and checks on state governments, whether the final version, provides enough safeguards against abuse.
Well, thank you so very much again. First and foremost, I want to start by appreciating our president, a very proactive leader. I've always described him as a man with the understanding as to how things work. And he has shown this capacity in various fields. You can see when he came on board, our economy was in shambles. And he took the bold step, though many criticized him at the beginning. But today, we are seeing the results. Today, states don't need to borrow money to pay salaries in their states. Today, states have times 3 or 4 of their previous allocation before he came on board as president and commander-in-chief. Now, coming to the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, it is right to say that today, that is our greatest challenge. And President Tinubu inherited it. It didn't start today. It has been there for almost 20 years ago. Started from the days of President Goodluck Jonathan to date. You have been facing this problem, starting from Boko Haram to IPOB in the southeast, to banditry, headers and farmers clash in the north central. So, but this is a man who believes that problems should be solved, and there's no problem that is above solution. So he came up with that executive bill, even though before then members had introduced those bills, because it's very obvious that the security challenge facing us today as a nation is trying, I'm not saying that it has overwhelmed the Nigerian police, but it's trying to overwhelm the Nigerian police. Therefore, it needs more hands. All hands must be on deck to tackle this common enemy of humanity. So we did we had to do what we did yesterday to decentralize policing in Nigeria. You will remember that by going by the provisions of Chapter 6, and in particular Section 214, 215 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended before now, policing was centralized. It was within the federal legislative list. State has no powers to establish police. In fact, when we even established a Bubago in Ebonyi State and a part of Southeast, we were visited with court order, barring them from operation because there's no constitutional backing. So what we did yesterday was historic, and the credit goes to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the 10th Senate under the leadership of Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio. And of course, our brothers in the House of Reps, led by Right Honorable Tajin Abbas, who've taken the bull by the horn by passing that law, that bill. No, so what we have done now is that we have created another police for the state.
Yeah.
To be known as State Police Service.
Senator, I understand you, but what I'm saying is there any difference with what the Senate or the National Assembly was already working with what, the president actually presented to be worked on?
It's the same.
Is there anything that changed?
It's the same.
Okay.
It's the same. It means that the executive and the legislatures are working together.
All right.
And that's the sense of collaboration. Okay. So we continue from where we stopped.
Okay, distinguished, let's look at it this way. The Senate vested powers on governors to appoint commissioners of police in their states, and also that the House of Assembly will confirm whatever. But I also know that the appointment of the Inspector General of Police at the national level does not go through the National Assembly. So what is the wisdom behind saying, okay, the governors appoint, present to the House of Assembly? Meanwhile, in the House of Rep, the one they passed previously, they talked about like a collegiate appointment. There's a collegiate set of professional bodies and all that will nominate, and the governor will appoint. But there was no way they said go to the House of Assembly. Help us understand why the House of Assembly in this instance.
Well, what we did is just to tinker with the Constitution to welcome state policing. The nitty-gritty and the modus operandi will be spelled out in another act, which we are going to do, which will also empower the State Assembly, to give details on how they want their state police to work. That is where the State Assembly will come in, because this state police is going to be funded by the resources of that state, even though to be deducted as source and paid to the state police services. So that is that. So what we've done is very clear and is not ambiguous. The state police will focus on offenses arising from laws made by the state, whereas the Federal Police Service will focus on laws made by the National Assembly, that is federal crimes. So these are two distinct bodies. Now, when you come to their modus operandi, like I said, it will be detailed by each state assembly, laws.
So, but in your own instance,
yes,
the power to appoint is vested on the governors, not on the collegiate,
yes,
like the House.
The powers to appoint is on the governor, who is the chief security officer of that state. Though it has to pass through the National Police Council, just like we do for judges of the state high courts. Recommendations are made, it passes through the NJC, now back to the state. All these things are just to checkmate abuse. That federal oversight is to checkmate abuse, because in a country, it must have one commander-in-chief. Ordinarily, I can tell you, you can't have two captains in a ship. If you give exclusive powers to the state without federal control, you are creating room for anarchy. That is why, as lawmakers, we have to look at the details. We have to make sure that the law we are creating is not leading us to anarchy tomorrow. We must give the commander-in-chief the power to oversee anything about security in Nigeria, because he's the commander-in-chief. So that's why the law was tailored, to create that federal oversight. For example, we have about Section 217 said when there is complete breakdown of law and order, just like we have when we call for state of emergency in the state. In that arrangement, the federal police, of course, the president will intervene until normalcy and order is restored in that state. So we're very careful in crafting these laws, and we're going to even be more careful in crafting the acts that will spell out their modus operandi, which will serve as a guide for each state assembly that want to establish state police to formulate their own laws. But be assured that this law is tailored in a way that is not aimed at favoring the government of the day, is not aimed at giving excess power to the governors. Everybody is subject to the law. The law must be supreme. The rule of law must apply.
All right.
And I believe that this legal framework have laid that foundation to eradicate banditry and all forms of criminality in Nigeria. We have all it takes. We have all it takes.
Senator, we hear you. And still under this section 214 of the bill which you speak of, if the federal government can take over the state's police service based on broadly defined terms such as threat to national security or breakdown of law and public order, just like you said, what guarantees exist that such powers will not be used to undermine the autonomy of states, especially opposition-controlled states?
Thank you.
And who objectively determines the federal intervention is justified?
Thank you. Like I said, yeah, it's going to be similar to provision for state of emergency. Yes, the president can make a proclamation, intervening in a state, but it must pass through the parliament. That is the caveat. If you see what Abaribe raised, that takes care of your question. We have to put that caveat. It has to go through the National Assembly.
But it also puts that in 48 hours. If the National Assembly does not respond in 48 hours...
For example, if there is need on Friday, and we don't sit on Friday, we don't sit on Saturday, we don't also sit on Sunday, are you expecting that the president should fold his hands and watch this go wrong?
Session.
Yes, he can do that within 48 hours. Then within 48 hours, the parliament will speak either in favor or against, just like we have in the state of emergency. Remember when state of emergency was declared in River? That was the most recent one. The president did it to mitigate the unfortunate incident that would have happened. Then within 48 hours, we came up as parliament to give him the backing. Something similar is coming to happen here.
Okay, you talked about the act that will spell out details, but from what we have seen so far, there seems to be some variation between your own version and the one proposed by the House. Now, if it goes into a conference committee talking about the power to appoint, they talked about the collegiate, they talked about professional body being part of what they call service commission.
Members of the board.
Members of the board. Yes. You don't have that.
We have where those things will be resolved. If there are conflicts between the one passed by the House of Reps and the one passed by the Senate, our rules will take care of that. We have what we call conference committee. If the two presiding officers sees that and sees there is need for conference committee, definitely a conference committee will be constituted, to resolve those minor differences. But be assured that the National Assembly as of today, the House of Rep and the Senate were on the same page as far as this national issue is concerned. And we must deliver because Nigerians are waiting. Nigerians want to see a country that is devoid of criminality and banditry. Nigeria wants to see a country where I can move from here to Kano, in Bagauda, Kano, where I did my law school without fear. Nigeria want to move about. But because of this insecurity, we cannot. That is our problem. And we are happy that the government of the day have taken this bold step. And we must clap for the president. Nigerians should applaud the president.
Speaking of the functionality of this dual system of policing, Senator, in situations where the state and federal police disagree, especially during emergencies, who has the final authority and how does the bill prevent conflicting commands or intelligence gaps from undermining coordinated security operations?
There won't be any conflict because the responsibilities are defined by the law. And I repeat again, state police will focus on the local crimes as passed by the laws of the state assembly. Like terrorism, every state have domesticated that law in their states. Like kidnapping, every state have domesticated that law. Now the federal police will be faced with federal crimes. So they can't meet. These are two parallel organizations. You are faced with local crimes. This man is faced with federal crimes, like interstate security, border patrol, border control with the army. So the state will now look at what is our security challenge as a state, looking at the communities that make up that state.
So in the case that a state of emergency is declared by the president, whose authority, supersedes the other?
The law is there. He said when there is breakdown of law and order, the president will intervene, meaning that the federal police will have upper hand. That is the meaning. There must be federal oversight. because we're still in Nigeria.
Okay, and I also think that there was this provision that the governor, if the governor feels that the state police is overwhelmed, he can invite the federal police to
assistance.
To intervene. But my worry is the fact that at the moment we have several institutions controlled by the federal government in various states. We have the forest guards and all that. Now, with the creation of the state police, are you going to thin down on all those interventions and make them operate under the ambit of the laws of the state? Or the state police will be there, then the forest guard and all those things that other institutions introduced by the federal government will also be in place?
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very simple thing. Those institutions you mentioned have the enabling status. They have law creating them. And those laws creating them have not been abolished or repealed. And those laws creating them gave them specific assignments. So they will still be there to face the specific assignment as given to them by the law. Like the forest guard you mentioned, the federal road safety, they are there, civil defense, they have to face their own duty. Every of these federal agencies has enabling status and with defined roles and responsibility. So it's not an issue.
With the new intervention, don't you think there's a need for an harmonization so that there won't be conflict?
Police is police. Police is different from forest guard. Forest guard is to guard our forest, whereas police is general policing. So they are different. There are two different organizations. Road safety, of course, man out the safety on our roads. Correctional centers man those in prison. These are federal agencies. So they have defined roles. So there's no conflict. We just created a state police that will man the local security needs of every state. Now, no governor will say, because I was calling IG to direct the CP, the IG's phone was not reachable, and that was why those killings continued. No, we've passed that era. As soon as the commander-in-chief signed this order, this bill into law, it becomes an act of the parliament. We've given all powers to the chief executive of the state to protect their people.
All right. Senator, lawmakers say that this law actually has provisions that check abuse, especially by governors, and governors cannot use this outfit for ethnic, religious, or any form of intimidation whatsoever. But I seem to have missed, the sanction. There were real criminal sanctions attached if any governor defaults.
That will be in the act, operational act.
Okay.
That will come through the operational act.
Is it going to come or is already there?
It's going to come.
Okay.
It's going to come.
Before
that is spelled
signed,
out. Like what I told you, we've just tinkered with the Constitution to bring in state police. But the nitty-gritty, after Section 214 creating the Nigerian Police Force, we still have the Police Act. I hope you're aware of that.
Yeah.
The Police Act spells out mode of recruitment, promotion, welfare, retirement, discipline, like you mentioned. Those things are there. The Police Act spelled out if IG of police behave this way, this is the punishment. If a police sergeant behave this way, this is the punishment. If a police inspector behave this way, this is the people that can handle, for example, any offense committed by rank of ASP above. The Police Service Commission must hear about it before such discipline. But for inspector down to constable can be handled by Commissioner of Police. So a similar law will come and more consultations will be made via the security experts vis-a-vis other countries that have state police. Remember, before passing this, we visited other countries like US and other developed world that have state police. I don't know how it operates. So we are borrowing leave from them. Our own will be different. Okay. And it's not targeted at anybody. Is not meant for political reasons, and as God will have it, election is within federal, ambit. So the state police will not participate in that. So let nobody think that we are creating state police to help us win election. No,
it's
to combat crime.
To go back to this. Yes. This election is around the corner. You say state police will not participate. Does it mean during elections, the federal police will come into the states to operate, or how?
Well, get me right. during an election, we want, normalcy and absence of breakdown of law and order. So the state police will, of course, help to maintain law and order. But you know that federal offenses is a federal offense, meaning that the state police, without even any law saying anything further, won't have hand in that. Because any offense arising from election is a federal offense. So don't be afraid that the governors will use it to witch hunt anybody. No, far from it. And this act we are going to create will spell out in details what they should do, what we expect them to do, and what they should never do. Those things will be spelled out. So no fear.
All right, so since you say the amendment of the Criminal Act is on the way to bring it up to date,
The Police Act.
The Police Act is on the way. In a case where, a police officer, I'm talking about the state police now, refuses to carry out the orders of a state governor in the sense that he perceives it as illegal or probably sort of an intimidation, does this law protect that officer from, intimidation and possible dismissal?
Not until that law is made.
Okay, but it's something you have to consider.
You must have, we take that into account.
Okay, let's look at this.
Because every law officer is obliged by law to obey any lawful order.
Lawful order.
Yes, by law.
All right. Now that we're going to be having state police in place, it means that the cost of financing it will increase, more burden on the state governments. Is there a plan also to look at the revenue sharing formula and to work out an arrangement where some other revenue, more revenue will be given to the various states because additional responsibility is coming on them?
Yes,
to work on that.
It goes without saying, when you give a man additional job, definitely you increase his wages. So, and this state police is going to be funded directly from the resources of the state. So that we won't have a situation that a state police command will stay for 3 months without salary. Then that tells you what will happen. If you give a man arms and you starve him, what will he do? I don't know, but he may not do well. So we're not going to joke with that. The federal government, of course, is aware that they are giving the state additional responsibility. So it goes without saying that they will also know what to do. I am a lawmaker, but when the bill comes in that respect, we will do the needful. But whether the state should have more funds to sustain this, I agree with you. They should have more funds, to protect their people.
Well, taking a look at 214 and subsection 3 of this proposal, no state police service shall commence operational policing unless it has been established by a law of the House of Assembly.
I said
that means that if the state governors are not interested in creating this outfit, then it does not exist in the state. So that doesn't make it mandatory.
It's optional.
For the state.
Like state that does not face any security challenges, you don't need to create one. But if you have one,
so
you
speaking
create.
about this funding thing that you mentioned, in a case where the state feels that it does not have so much resources to create the state police and it has clear security challenges.
Every state has their priority. I won't speak for the state governors, but every elected state governor today has his priority, and security is number one. And if your state is challenged security-wise, I tell you, no governor will shy away from placing that insecurity as priority. Because the set of governors we have today are experienced and good leaders who want to write their names in gold. I'm not speaking for them. But I must tell you, by the set of governors we have today, they are ready to work with the president to eradicate crime in Nigeria. So if a governor is challenging his state, he will shy away. He will see that insecurity as his priority. In knowledge of the fact that security is the key duty of every government. Every other thing is secondary. Amenities and other good roads is secondary. Security is number one. To secure your people and secure their property. That is number one. And that is why security votes are provided for the governors.
All right. Distinguished, Nigerians have also talked about the fact that we need also community-based policing. Now we're going to be having the state police. Are there specific functions marked for traditional rulers in their various domains to participate in the operation of the state police? And that's where the traditional rulers can come in.
Well, you can see from our discussion that we just opened a window for states to create their state police. So I believe that in the course of the state assembly, making their laws, maybe the traditional rulers, will be given a role in that respect. Of course, the state police will work with the communities. And who are the leaders of the communities? The traditional rulers, the development union presidents, the village heads or district head in the north. So they are very important stakeholders in this respect. They are the one that can call the state commander that was see strange faces in my community. Please, can they extend their patrol to this place? In fact, we even expect to have commands in every community. If you ask me, the state police should have command in every community.
So how does this avoid the duplication of function? If you say that the state police must have a command in every community.
It's a suggestion.
And there's also the existence of the federal policing system.
Their duties are different. Federal police service is facing federal offenses. Get it right. State police service is working to meet the local security need of the people. So they can meet.
Okay, so
right, just quickly, because of time, have you considered this as when in your own proposal that the House of Assembly we make laws, and in this instance where we talk about local government autonomy, President said I've released funds to the local government, but we know that also some of these laws made by the House of Assembly have created a situation whereby the local government becomes ineffective. Is that the consideration that if you have local governments, House of Assembly involved in making their own laws, it might get to a point whereby the state police will not be that effective?
No. The House of Assembly will only make laws as to their modus operandi, how they operate within the states.
Not their structure.
And they can also make laws on their structures. They can also do that. But the funding come direct from the federation account through the state resources. So there won't be any problem. And of course, the structures can be far away from what is obtainable elsewhere. Remember, our target here is to combat crime. It's not to serve anybody. Because the honorable member is not safe, a senator is not safe, even you, are you safe? So everybody will jettison his interests. What are we talking about? How do we restore Nigeria to what it was in the early 80s, in the 90s, where people move about their lawful business without any fear of being attacked by Boko Haram, without any fear of being attacked by POB, without fear of being kidnapped? That is what we are talking about. And everybody should jettison his political ambition. Keep it aside. Look at what happened in the Senate yesterday. Did you see any different view from the opposition? All hands are already on deck. Gone are the days when we are preaching that all hands must be on deck. All hands are now on deck to see how we can come out of this, because nobody is free. I am not free. You are not free. So it's a common enemy, and we must fight it commonly.
We do look forward to the days where, insecurity becomes a thing of the past.
It will happen under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It will happen.
And we
have a man that can do it.
Provision
we have a man that can do it. And he has started doing it. And his name is Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Thank you so much, distinguished Senator Onyekachi Nwebonyi, for your contributions on the program. It's always delightful speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Nigeria must be great.
Nigeria must be great. Thank you so much.